Welcome to our channel Lightling Vision. Today Mother will continue with part 4 on the subject of the spirituality in the modern world. Mother will also continue to talk about, you will guide us to the path, to the true path of spirituality. So we're very happy to listen to you.
It has to do with the difference between a spirituality that is still a nice pastime for somebody, and a spirituality that one day becomes a real path for an individual. Of course, as I already said, you can pass through a moment where spirituality is a possibility in your life, something that you like, that interests you, but that has not become the main point in your life already. That is, yes, a pure possibility. But one day, this possibility will knock on your door and say, well, and what if I will become more real in your life? This spirituality, which is in the beginning a possibility, one day will ask you very naturally, and now what are you going to do with me? What it's all about in your life. And then you have to make a choice. Will this just stay a nice pastime, or are you really going to walk on the path? And the last thing is for me the only thing which will give on the long run spirituality its true place in this world, will make it a serious affair for those who are on the spiritual path, and also for those who for the moment are not. And on this spiritual path, the genuine, the real spiritual path, as I already said, you need to make renouncements little by little. Not just things you don't care about and you want to give off because it's nothing for you, but real attachments, things you really care about, and then little by little they should be taken off, transformed, taken away sometimes. And that's a serious path. Now, as I already said, of course you can stay. Nobody obliges you to go that far. You can stay, if I can express myself like that, you can stay on the level of becoming a vegetarian, of reading books, of really reflecting on it, doing your meditations regularly to have a better equilibrium in your psychological life, of coming to terms with certain problems in yourself, seeing more clear in your problems. But that's not the end of the story. The real path has to do with seeking to sacrifice the ego, with seeking to give up the egoistic link you have with the lower nature. And that's a big part. That's a very big part, and many of us shrink back from it. They say, okay, being a vegetarian, that's okay. Many things I can do a bit less, or a bit less often in my life. But if you ask me to give up on my ego, that's a lot. And this ego is not just an ego like that. It has its attachments in your life to things that are important for you. Or it's getting its nutrition from activities that perhaps are not the most ideal for you on the spiritual path. So giving up the ego is different, you might say, for each individual, but it's still the ego, and it still has to do with something you do not like to lose, or you're attached to, you would like to keep, or you would like to do. Whatever form it might take, you will feel it as a real loss, something you really have to give up, and it's hard. That is the problem of the spiritual path. Many will, for that reason, start criticizing and say, no, this is not, and I already said it in another video, this is not what it's all about, this is not what is asked from me, many things are possible for God on this earth, becoming a spiritualist does not mean that you're not human anymore. I agree with that. But for me, it's 9 out of 10 times a defense from your lower nature that is telling me that she is not willing to give up an essential point of your life and psychological makeup. So that's why the real spiritual path is absolutely not popular. Very few dare to go it. But even if that's for the moment the case, and even if that will stay for quite some time still, that will be still the case, let's at least let us at least be clear about the facts, that even though for you the moment has not come to give up the essential, and it has to do with something in yourself, and in the first place less with something outside of yourself, even if you're not ready for it, this is what it's about. And when we talk about transforming a society, what we have done in other videos, for me, a society will really profoundly benefit from that kind of actions, that are those deeds of renouncement, gradual, that are undertaken by real pupils of a spiritual movement or path. On the other hand, you can say that another difficulty, a huge difficulty in our modern society towards spirituality, is the fact that it's seen as something that should not include a teacher. Modern man, in Oriental countries, the problem is less. But in Western society, having a teacher in a spiritual domain is suspect. That has to do with brainwashing, with your money that are being taken, you're being taken away from your home and your family. It's absolutely unhealthy and undesirable. For me, this has nothing to do with real spirituality. It has to do with all kinds of doubtful practices that I would absolutely not advise to anybody. One of the things that we have to introduce in our vision on spirituality, and people, I think, in this society who are on the spiritual path should show us what genuine spirituality can be through a healthy relationship with their guides, with teachers. There are not so many, I have to say, that are on this path genuine for the moment, because many teachers unfortunately have not completely gotten away with attachments to money or glory or sexual affairs. And even that you cannot always say it from the outside. It's merely the feeling that it gives to you. But it's quite difficult to judge, but still the problem is there. One day, a teacher who's not of this world anymore said, if you want to judge a tree, you have to look at its fruits. That is also, this is also the case on the spiritual path, and even there are problems. I mean, I've seen very wonderful teachers that had horrible pupils. I've seen teachers that were not so tremendous that had very good pupils. It is so difficult to judge, and perhaps, and that can be our last video for the next time, perhaps the most difficult part of spirituality in a modern society is to make itself understood through evidence, through proofs of its sincerity, and that is so difficult to give. It is so difficult to give, because so many teachers are struggling with this problem. Perhaps they are very honest and they are misunderstood, and others are not so very honest and they have an enormous quantity of people behind them. It's not easy. I have to admit it. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I think before this will clear itself up or out, it will take perhaps still a lot of time, because seeing clear in this domain is it's not easy at all. Who's a good teacher? Who is not? Yeah. And then the pupils that are around it. That's still another story. But let's say that a real teacher will not ask you a lot of money, because he doesn't need it for himself. That's my profound conviction. For me, basically, spirituality is free, or almost. And if you still want to give some money, you can, but the teacher should show in his actions that he's not living in this world of money anymore, that he doesn't need money to fill up his life with all kinds of activities or objects. That's one of the things that you can already see. And in the second place, a teacher that is always kind to you in a way that he's turning around your ego. I'm not talking about diplomacy to go slowly in the beginning. I'm talking about, yes, a kind of compromising kind of attitude to keep you quiet, or to keep you as a client. Well, that is not possible if you're a real teacher. You can even say that I don't think that a real teacher has many pupils in the modern world, because the path is too difficult. The judgments of the world around us are too big. And being a teacher is not a nice job. Also for many reasons. Because having to do with the ego of your pupils all the time, where they are not conscious of it, is quite a job. And who wants to do that for free? But you don't even get paid for it. No, it's... I think it's a way of life, being a teacher, that has to do with also with a lot of work, very few recognition, and many renouncements. But as you ask this also from your pupils, it's normal. And I think that those who really seek that will see it. And those who will not see it well, in the first place, I would say they are not ready for it. Perhaps we can talk in the last video about how can we still make this affair a bit more serious in the eyes of the outer world.
The affair of the spirituality?
The affair of the spiritual path.
The spiritual, okay.
What can we do in modern life where spirituality is not seen as something positive, is seen as a form of slavery or control and brainwashing, or even theft, robbery, what do you say?
Abuse.
Abuse, financial abuse. What can we do to give it another
name, like
the
real meaning of,
to make people aware that there is something serious behind it, but it's not easy to make that understood or to incarnate it, to make it concrete.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it's really essential to in our lives, but we don't have it anymore.
I think that perhaps that can be a subject for the next video. You will not seek this path unless you will naturally have been brought to this point. Mm-hmm. So those on another way, on the other hand, if you don't seek it, you can't see the use of it, and you will not see many positive points in this question.
So, in other words, you have to be ready to go towards that path.
Well, I hope that I can make at least this path understood, mm-hmm. because you asked me this, even to those who will not, for the moment, seek it, mm-hmm. to take away part of the judgment we have from the outer world. Even though I know that only those who really seek it will understand what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's the difficulty.
Okay. So we'll talk about it more in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you really appreciate this, because in my opinion we really have like the best guide with us, and you're such a gift, Mother, so thank you. And don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you at the next video. Have a good day.
We are always asking so much more. We are always hoping Santa's at our door. We behave like children, captured in a game of give and take, in which we calculate the income of the day. Yes, we are like little drops in oceans full of water, and all we care about is quenching our own thirst. Just try to look around and see what's flowing so abundantly. There is enough to share, so why do you not dare? We're always demanding, think it is our right. Many expectations, all is on our side. We never ask the question, what do others need that we can give? We're simply too afraid the bill will not be paid. We change our vision of what's good. good for us and others, living by the truth. Can't we build a